Hey y'all, I'm releasing this video before this war has ended, so it is possible we will win it, but honestly, spoiler alert, doesn't look like it right now. A lot of little things went wrong. And between relics being released later today when y'all see this, and Cyber Weekend coming, and another Eternity of Pain, I figured it was probably best for everybody if I went ahead and dropped this now. So, big thing this war, bunch of hood fights. Bunch of unduped rank 3 hood fights. Which is why I have Mysterio on the team and I'm using him for this Claire, because I needed that synergy to feel safe. Honestly, probably would have been fine without it. But it's a very powerful synergy for holding on to bullets across multiple fights, and I have two different rank 4s with Hood later on. And so I really wanted to have it just for safety. So I am doing some, to be honest, kind of random stuff with Mysterio here. I did duel Claire with him beforehand, but I also did not have the insult injury node on my duels. And so I didn't really test the fact that Mysterio being immune to ability accuracy reduction is going to trigger, and has been triggering, Claire's immunity clause. And so that's why she's been building so many charges and extra power this whole fight. It's still a solid counter because, once that happens, she gets to 20 charges and she's basically done. That's the good thing about feeding Claire a bunch of charges. It's kind of controllable. I actually did throw on power backs as well as an invuln for that, so that when I threw the special 2, I'd get some of another one back. Definitely overboosted. But yeah, just throwing away Mysterio at that single fight, answering the ability accuracy part of it, and he did fine. And that is exactly what he needed to do. Dropping this shock resistance pre-fight on Terrax for work in progress to come by with his Horseman Havoc. And then we skip ahead to this Gorr here. Now I put my other two pre-fights on this, so that when I enter with Hood, I will always have those two buffs on me, plus one buff for invisibility, plus another buff when I dex. And that means that I am basically always going to win the rich get richer race. And that's going to make it much, much easier for me to throw my special 2s and keep my Fate Seal up and keep these fights under control. Now, some of these you'll see me be a little more in control of the Hex than others. You saw that I only had 12 bullets up when I threw that one. A little bit earlier than I probably should have, but another thing I want to shout out here is that I'm at 42 bullets. And I was at near 42 bullets pretty much that entire fight once I threw my first special 2. So both the synergy and the fact that Hood gets refunded bullets when he nullifies a buff off of the opponent, which includes when his Fate Seal removes buffs, he gets extra bullets. So I'm feeling really, really good about these next few fights after just seeing where my count is at the end of that first one. But Gorr was probably the easiest one we had. Just going to go ahead and try and get to our special 2 here, basically expecting nothing I do on basics to work, because that is, in my opinion, the safe way to approach Storm X, because she is just going to cause problems. But if we just keep that special 2 up, then hopefully we can avoid Conduit. But I have no idea why I threw that heavy there instead of just throwing another special 2. Because the special 2 probably wouldn't have triggered Conduit, because we have access to that ability accuracy reduction. A heavy after I let the Hex expire obviously was going to trigger Conduit. So kind of dumb there. But that's okay. This is working out fine. We're still in control. Actually, right now it kind of looks like we're not in control, but because we're winning the rich get richer race, we are going to be fine. She is going to go unblockable in the middle of this special 2 as we cross a bar of power and she gets 6 prowess, but that's fine. We're just going to step back into a special 2. And now the fight is actually underway once more. So, small mistake there, but we weren't really in any danger. The key to this fight is making sure that you are winning Rich Get Richer, not Storm, and making sure that you bait out special ones instead of special twos. So now I retaliate here, refresh the Hex, and this should be enough. There we go. Once again, plenty of bullets. So now probably the single weirdest fight I'm taking this war, and I know I used Mysterio already, so that is kind of saying something. I'm going to be taking this rank 4 Galan on Rich Get Richer with Odin. And the strategy here is basically cycle special 3s. Now, I am going to start knocking him down twice and then throwing a special 1, because that is going to give us True Strike and Bulwark, and then those buffs, because they have been triggered, will come back every time we throw the special 1, or the special 3, because the special 3 reactivates Odin's buffs that he's triggered with during the fight. And so we're going to have just a bit more block proficiency because of that. And our the special 3 ignores resistance anyway, that's how special 3s work, but our basics are going to ignore any resistance or armor he builds up. Now, hopefully he's not going to build any resistance, because he would have to hit us to do that. But this node does have aspect of evolution, and that is going to be giving him armor as the fight goes on. Now, remember that when a special knocks down Galan, the amount of harvest he loses is based on how many bars of power were spent, so a special 3 is going to remove 90. That was dumb there, though, because I did say originally that the plan was to loop special 3s. Should have stuck to it, because I forgot that the red damage from Odin's special 2, while strong, is technically applied late enough that Conduit can trigger and catch it. So I just burned 2 bars of power there for no particular reason, and we get to another special 3. Wasted some time, but still very much in control. This should put him at either 0 or 1. It's kind of weird how that happens. 0 or 10 mass. The first time it took him all the way down to 0, implying that he gained the Fury before we knocked him down, but this time he gained the Fury after we knocked him down, so kind of weird there. Probably shouldn't have hit him here, because we really don't want to be giving him power outside special 3s, and that right there, where we pushed him over a bar and put him at 60 mass when he had a special 1, that's dangerous. Because if he had thrown that special 1, then he would have entered the harvest, and then he would have been unstoppable. And once he's unstoppable, special 3s no longer count as knocking him down, as we discovered with Hyperion. So, fairly dangerous mistake there at the end, but thankfully the setup that we had done until then allowed us to throw another special 3 and finish it out. But that fight is perfectly safe if you just stick to what I originally said. Parry more often, throw more special 3s. So then work taxied me to this King Groot. I've sent Hood to this many times, but it has usually been Bryce MU8's rank 4, rather than my unduped rank 3. And so I honestly was slightly nervous for this. Like, I know how good Hood is for this, but having no power steal, having lower damage from the hexes, having less health if something goes wrong, having less block proficiency, because this is a rank 4 King Groot. I didn't expect to die, but, you know, I was just like a little bit more in the sitting forward in my chair, so to speak. Anyway, it's going fine. We throw this here. Like I said earlier, we have all of the bullets we could need. We refresh our invisibility before his special 2, and so most of it misses. Literally so many bullets. We do lose the Hex there, because we don't retaliate after the special 2. It's not that easy to punish, if it even is punishable. And then something dumb happens. So that was not obviously part of my plan, and so now something has gone a little bit wrong. I've been pushed to a special 2. He does not have much power, and he's about to lose the Hex again. So obviously if we hadn't been caught on the dash back, then we would have just thrown a special 2 and kept our rhythm. We would have kept building bullets. Would have been fine. This is not ideal. But it's not the end of the world. we haven't... Our bullets didn't expire, right? The Hex did, but as long as we keep landing bullets, then we do hold on to them. So that time Conduit got through his Hex. Not the end of the world. We just wait it out before we detonate, and at this point I'm thinking, okay, we're probably pretty close. And yeah, we were pretty close. So I probably should have hit him with literally one more medium. But no big deal. That is one thing I'm constantly telling people about Hood. You know, detonating 10 bullets and then 10 bullets is the same damage as detonating 20 all at once. You really do not have to worry in most fights about lining it up perfectly. And we prove that there, and we move on to Hulkling. Now, this was the one I was a little bit more nervous about because you can take a lot of damage at the start, both from Hazard Shift if you're unlucky, and from Pierce. And so that's why I backed up and immediately threw a light attack, because my expectation was that it would whiff and make him just passive enough that I could go invisible. And then that was going to give me a few more openings, so I didn't have to worry about Pierce, and I could just rush to my special 2, and that is exactly what happened. So thankfully the start of this went perfectly. Just going to keep building up these hexes. Sorry, hex pistol bullets. He has some weird mechanics. But as long as we keep landing those mediums, we just keep going up and up and up, and we really want to hold on to the hex. Got a little bit worried there, but luckily still had a guaranteed miss, because we really want that ability accuracy reduction. That's why you've seen so few of those hazard shift debuffs land this whole time. Detonate a bit early, but like I said, there's no penalty for it as long as we hold on to the hex. And then we just combo this out, and it was good enough. So, yeah, Hood is really, really good, and this was a fun war. I'm glad things worked well after the dueling and prep I did for it. This did allow us to do some other stuff more easily, so I am glad that I ended up taking this fight and didn't basically chicken out. And it was a lot of fun. I was asked on stream the other day who I thought was the second best Mystic, because obviously Doom is the strongest, he's overtuned. And I said that it really depends on how you weight such things. Because for a lot of fights, yeah, Tigra is going to finish it fastest. She has the damage, and often she has, as I put it, enough utility for the damage to be the decisive factor. And Tigra could have taken a number of the fights that I took here. And if you weight it completely another way, Claire is flexible enough that you could potentially give it to her as second best. But my answer then, and I feel vindicated having given it, was Hood. Because he has an incredible mix of utility and damage that just lets him take a lot of very difficult things very cleanly. And I think you saw that this war. Because like I said, yeah, Tigra could have taken a lot of these fights, but none of them would have been as clean from a health perspective. With the exception of Gorr, probably. She's amazing for that fight. But a lot of these other Conduit fights would have been slower. Hulkling, you would have ended up taking more from Hazard Shift, even if only barely. And it probably would have been a more expensive war for me. I probably would have ended up changing masteries. I would have used more boosts, more potions. And Hood just crushed it. So again, what I'm saying here is not necessarily that Hood is better than Tigra. Oh, DLL hates Tigra. No, I have a rank 4 Sig 200. I see incredible value in Tigra. But if we're talking for general purposes, for answering difficult fights, he's really good, and I think deserves to at least be in the conversation. So hopefully you found this war interesting, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and take care.